Hey, good afternoon, guys. It's Charlie Pankey, Sierra Rec Magazine, Sierra Rec Now podcast, coming to you with a special edition here. We are going to be starting several new series in 2025 as we not only continue our guest interviews, which we have more coming here this week with you as well, but we are going to be breaking down several of the most common questions that we receive on the internet and social media about the Sierra in different little guide segments. So this is one of our first videos that we're going to be running today. And today is all about Yosemite National Park and its annual free entrance day. So the question that's been posed today is, what do we do in Yosemite National Park on those free days when the crowds are extra large? How do we get away from the crowds, and what are some great adventures to partake in without the crowd? So that's kind of what we're going to be talking about today. So we thank you for joining us wherever you're at. I hope the Sierra is in your future. And we all know that we love Yosemite National Park. So on our website, we have lots of trail reviews and different destinations that we've been to over the years. We have a top 10 Tuolumne visit. I've backpacked from Tuolumne all the way to Yosemite Valley. I spent a lot of time in the May Lake area since it's very uncrowded. It'll be on my list today. Hetch Hetchy, different locations like that. So we're going to cover those lists today with 7 or 8 of the I guess, most uncrowded locations for you to experience Yosemite on those free days. And it'll work for almost any day, but especially on days when we know it's crowded, middle of summertime, or any of our President's Day weekend coming up, or any of those free days throughout the year. So we're going to cover those today for you. And you can find that list of free days on our website. I won't put them on here in case you're watching this way down the road. The dates change year over year, so you can look at sierrarecmagazine.com and find those free days. But a couple days to always keep in mind. President's Day is always free. Veterans Day is always free. There's always a date in August, a date in May, I think, usually. So you've got several dates in the year. So okay, so I am not a crowd person. And you probably know that about me if you followed my show at all or been part of our experience at sierrarecmagazine.com. We have a free magazine that we put out 6 times a year, all about discovering more of the Sierra. The reason behind that is because I don't like crowds, and I think we should disperse a little further. Not that the Lake Tahoes of the world and Mammoth and Yosemite aren't as fantastic even with crowds. The visuals are amazing, right? But this gives you an opportunity for us to see these places in their natural settings, a little less crowded, a little less foot traffic. So when I talk about Yosemite on free days, here's what I've done in the past, because I've gone on several free days. I generally see the valley, but I don't stay in the valley usually. Now, this is going to be seasonally, obviously, because you can't get Tuolumne Meadows in the middle of winter. So like for President's Day weekend coming up here, I would be heading to Hetch Hetchy. Hetch Hetchy is a fabulous place to go visit. It's a mirror image of Yosemite Valley, except for a big lake in the bottom. They have a wonderful trail that goes out to, I think it's called Wapama Falls. It has a big bridge out there. It's about a 5-mile round trip, easy enough hike for most people. Probably need some footwear. It does get a little slippery in the water out there. There's one little creek crossing, but in February it's probably going to be pretty low. So that's a beautiful hike in February, and that's a place I would go pretty much any month of the year except for maybe August. Maybe end of July, August, it's going to get pretty warm in that canyon. So I'd probably skip it those 2 months. But the rest of the year, Hetch Hetchy is way underrated. Hardly ever have more than, I don't know, maybe 20 people out there I've ever seen on a trail, ever. So that's a highly underrated, easy enough to get to. It's located on the far north side, on the west-north entrance out of Groveland. Sorry about that. A nice, easy drive down, big parking lot. It's right next to the O'Shea Dam. I think I said that right, O'Shea Dam. I probably said that wrong. I think it's called O'Shea, something. It's the dam that's the water system in San Francisco. Comes out of Yosemite there. And there's lots of controversy about that dam, whether it should be kept or not. It's a beautiful dam. It's fun to just stand on it. You can see the falls across the lake. And then once you cross that dam, there's a tunnel you actually have to walk through. It's like an old train tunnel almost, if you will, but you're going to walk through it. It's very wet in there. Your shoes are probably going to get wet. But it's an easy enough walk. You can see the other side, so it's not scary or anything like that. But that's a great hike. Really recommend it. It's got a little up and down action to it, but no serious climbs. Like, I don't think you climb more than maybe 150 feet on any of the inclines in this trail. You got to be very careful when you get to the bridge that crosses the waterfall and seasonally, because especially in the springtime, the water comes across that bridge. And every year we hear about people being swept off that bridge, and they don't make it. It falls into the rocks and down into the lake, and it's a very dangerous situation. So definitely pay attention to the danger signs of water going across the bridge of the waterfall. But if you get a chance to cross over, it's very pretty on the other side. There's a couple places where you can hop off the trail and have a picnic lunch along the lake. If you continue down that trail a little further, like at the end of Hetch Hetchy, there's trails that go up on top. Just like there's Yosemite Valley, and there's waterfalls down the end too. So again, Hetch Hetchy, probably number one on my list. Number two on my list actually would be Wapama area on the south side. So just kind of opposite side of the park. Become the big trees there, large parking lot areas. So it helps people kind of scatter out a little bit. There's no like one major focal point destination that accumulates crowds. As a matter of fact, they have a beautiful meadow right across from the lodge that you walk along the big trees in the meadow area. It's a beautiful meadow hike. Definitely something that everyone can do. Obviously, the big trees, there's a big parking lot and a bus system and trail system in the big trees. And that's probably the most crowded section up at Wawona. I personally like Chillanua. I say that wrong. Chillanua Falls. There's a waterfall hike that's on the back. You drive through the community. It's really weird to drive back through all the old houses back there, and all the Airbnbs and cab rentals back there. And there's a waterfall hike. And in the springtime, this waterfall is absolutely gorgeous and huge and thundering. It's unlike a little bit like Yosemite Valley, where you aren't going to see the waterfall the entire time in this trail, but it's a very gradual 5-mile switchback trail that goes up the side of this mountain, comes up top of the falls. If you don't want to hike that far, you can literally hike like not even a quarter mile to the base of the bottom fall, and it's this rainfall effect that you walk into because the water crashes in the zone, and it's kind of like the mist trail, if you will. Almost guaranteed to get soaked, and you can turn around and go back to your car there if you wanted to. It just the one area is it's a cool place to be. I know most of you are going, yeah, but we want to go see Yosemite Valley. That's our place. So let's talk about that real quick. What would you do in Yosemite Valley to avoid the crowds? Now, it's almost impossible, okay? But there are some secrets to Yosemite Valley that can be had. One, use the bus system if possible, or put your hiking shoes on once you find a parking spot and head into the central meadow and along the Merced River there. And those boardwalks around the meadow are going to be a whole lot less people walk around. You're still going to be able to see all the waterfalls from afar. It's actually a better picture, in my opinion, along the river. So that's a great place to kind of walk around. I'm going mind blank. Give me a second. I'm going to look at my phone real quick here. The trail that goes all the way around the valley here. It happens to me occasionally when I'm doing these podcasts. It's like I've got this outline script, but I don't use a script. So I don't have the name written down here, and I do apologize for you. So I'm gonna pop this in. So while I'm talking about that, the other thing I do in the valley is I start at Bridalveil Falls. So I'll park my car if I can at Bridalveil if I get there early enough in the morning. That is another secret, by the way. Get in the valley 5 a.m. Get up early. If you're staying close, come up the night before, stay close in Bass Lake or Sonora or Groveland, and get in the park early. Get in the park before sun gets above the crowds. Find your parking spot and get out there before everyone else. It is an absolute stunning place to walk around at sunrise or right before sunrise, before the sun ever hits the valley floor. You're going to see the most wildlife that way. And you're also going to just have a really quiet Yosemite. It's really quite cool. The waterfalls run 24/7, So you can actually go experience these waterfalls really, really in prime prime viewing, in my opinion, if you just decide to get up early. If you're going to go that far and experience Yosemite, we all can get up early. Set the clock, 4 a.m., get in the park. It is such a better experience, right? If you're waiting to get in the park and you're in line and it's going to be 1 o'clock, you're not going to find a crowdless a place like that. I'm looking at this Yosemite Valley loop because I know there's a name to it, and it's completely missing me at the moment. I've been having some internet problems, so I may not get this for you. I apologize. So that's one of my recommendations. Okay, so the hike up to Nevada Falls is awesome, but you're not going to get away from crowds. That is now the most popular hike probably in Yosemite. So definitely worth seeing, but you're not going to get away from crowds. Mirror Lake can be less crowded, but you have to take a different route. If you want to go to Mirror Lake, here's my suggestion. Actually go to Yosemite Falls first. Go to Yosemite Falls, and instead of walking back along the path that everyone takes, there's actually a trail that leaves Yosemite Falls that heads east right along the ridge. And follow that trail. You're going to end up walking right next to the main lodge, and you're going to have this trail that walks along the edge of Yosemite Valley, right on the edge. You'll actually see some seasonal waterfalls in spring, and come in the backside or kind of the side of Mirror Lake. That is by far the best route, because if you follow the little road, that paved road section that's in the parking area, you're going to see thousands of people and bikes and all kinds of stuff. So if you stay along the edge of the valley and out, you're going to see a better chance of seeing wildlife, a better chance of seeing seasonal waterfalls, and you're going to have so few people compared to the loop. And it's literally called the Yosemite Valley Loop Trail. So that trail right there is part of it. An old ranger friend of mine said that is by far the best hike in the valley that people just don't do. So there you go. That's, you stay on that perimeter as much as possible. You're going to see more and enjoy more of Yosemite without the crowds. All right, so because I know that's what everybody came for. They want to see those waterfalls, so get there early and then take the outer routes. No, there's no way to Nevada Falls without less people. Actually, there is. Go up the Panoramic Trail to Glacier Point and hike over to Illilouette Falls, and then come down that direction to the John Muir Trail from Illilouette Falls. That's going to have a whole lot less people, but it's also a much longer, much more strenuous hike for you in the valley. So let's just assume that Tioga is open and Yosemite Park in the middle of summer, our free days are in fall. There are many other great opportunities to not only see the valley, but to experience Yosemite National Park, okay, without backpacking. Now, backpacking is a whole other game. We'll do another video on that because there's lots of opportunity there. May Lake. May Lake is so underutilized in Yosemite National Park. They have a nice parking lot, plenty of parking in the general region. Once the gates open, they have a big parking on top, and then the roadside has many spots for people to park. It's a short 2.5 mile hike, depending on where you're going to park, up to May Lake, about 600 feet in elevation gain from the parking area. And May Lake is a stunning, beautiful mountain lake, huge Mount Hoffman, picturesque mountain up the backside of the lake, which is another great thing to do, is climb Mount Hoffman if you're physically fit, able to do it. It's got a very strenuous middle section, just telling you, but everyone can get to the top if you can get through that sandy, quite strenuous middle section. But May Lake is beautiful. It is where one of the High Sierra camps are at. So it can be kind of busy buddies at the lake, but never to the point where you think it's crowded. It's just that you're seeing other people. And Yosemite, unless you're backpacking, you're going to see other people, right? So what we're looking about is getting away from crowds, like pushing crowds, baby strollers and just massive groups of people, right? So May Lake is a great place, picnic. Little insider tip: go all the way to the backside of May Lake. So if you come up the mountain, you're going to literally be on the southeast shore. And the trail of Mount Hoffman follows the south shore and goes up to the west side and kind of leaves the lake on the west side. Very beautiful vista point over there of Half Dome. You can climb up just a little bit. But I like to actually stay on the east side of the lake, head all the way almost all the way down to the backside of the lake, and then head east into the woods and go up on the ridge. And there's a beautiful view, vista view, if you will, the Cathedral Range and the east side of Yosemite National Park from lake level without actually having climbed too much. You'd probably climb 15 feet. There's a granite shelf there. You can get right on top. It's got a very beautiful view. It's my favorite place to watch a sunrise in the Sierra. Now, I haven't been everywhere in the world, so don't crucify me. Matter of fact, on the comments below, go ahead and tell me what your favorite Yosemite or favorite place to watch sunrise in the Sierra is. That is a pretty epic place. There's a video on my Instagram channel you can go look at that. I guarantee it's quite special. So that's a really cool spot in May Lake. From that same general region and kind of across the road before you get there, there's a trailhead in North Dome. So if you want to see the valley from a unique spot, North Dome Trail is going to be busy. But again, we're huge crowds until you get to the dome. So there's lots of different things like Indian Arch down there and the North Dome hike. That's a little more strenuous coming back. It's a pretty strenuous hike back out of the valley. So that's something to think about there. The next hike I would probably tell you to do from there, because Oatman Point is going to be a little busy for you crowd wise. If you do stop at Oatman Point, which I recommend, take the stairs down and walk out to the ledge. 85% of all visitors never walk down those stairs and go out to the ledge, which is where the best view of Half Dome's at, as in my opinion, the best view from that area. And they don't walk out there, so you get away from crowds. You do have to walk back up the stairs. It does look daunting, but everything Yosemite's up and down. Yosemite just has up and down, right? And that's one of the easiest ones. So you definitely want to do that. Again, you're going to leave behind 85 for the people sitting in the parking lot. You can just walk down there. Great viewpoint. From there, Tenaya Lake's going to be busy. Going to be people all around Tenaya Lake, but it's definitely a popular, easy place to go. If you go all the way into Tuolumne Meadows, here's a couple things. Everybody goes to Cathedral Lakes, so you're not going to get away from crowds there. They're going to be on the trail. They're going to be at the lakes. Still better than Yosemite Valley, right? But you're going to see crowds at Cathedral Lakes. If you go to Cathedral Lakes and you want to go an extra 2 miles, look at your map, find the map, and chart a route to Echo Lakes. Echo Lake and Echo Lake Valley up there is a hidden treasure. Almost no one is there ever. I occasionally see one or two people walk through. I've backpacked in there a couple times and stayed the night. It's absolutely a stunning valley. You have to walk around a meadow and go through trees. It is a completely off-trail experience, but that's a great thing to do. If you're into less adventurous activities, when you're back in Tuolumne Meadows, take the course to Elizabeth Lake instead of Cathedral Lakes. One, it's not as tough a hike. It's uphill, but not as tough. Fewer people. And in my opinion, really close to the same beauty level. I mean, it's just a stunning, beautiful lake. Great fishing there as well if you like to fish. It's still uphill and still a bit strenuous, but well worth the hike. The trailhead for that is in the backside of the campground, which has been closed the last 2 years. I think it opens mid this year, but it's got a great little hike up there. And there's lots of deer up there, so you're almost guaranteed to run a deer almost every time I'm up there. On the other side of Tuolumne Meadows, look up Dog Lake. Dog Lake Trail is there's multiple ways to get to Dog Lake. Dog Lake, I can virtually guarantee if you went up there with a picnic lunch, it'd be you and your picnic lunch, and maybe one other person shows up while you're there. And it's usually a backpacker filling their water up, right? Really, actually, a very pretty lake that's just not used. You have to climb a couple hundred feet up the mountainside to get up there, but the trails go from both directions from both so the Soda Springs hut there. You can get from that direction, or if you park at the right past the permit station there, they have the trail into Lambert Dome, Dog Lake, and the Young Lake area. That one's a little steep, a steeper climb, but again, highly recommended it if you want to include Lambert Dome in that trip. That'd be an extremely uncrowded route for you to take as far as getting away from crowds. Lyell Canyon. Lyell Canyon is going to be a little busier because it's a PCT, so you're going to see a lot of PCT and backpackers come through Lyell Canyon. But if you'll take that same parking lot that I'm just talking about, Dog Lake, there right past the permit station, and head out. You'll follow the river, which there's several spots to pull off a river and have the river by yourself. You get this place I call Twin Bridges, two bridges area. It's where the river's kind of the bridge system has to cross the river in a wide spot, and it's a peek into Lyell Canyon. The secret is that's going to be busy. It's so pretty. You want to go take a picture. But if you're willing to walk 2 more miles, if you're willing just to follow the trail out to Lyle Canyon 2 miles, and then from 2 miles to 9 miles, that whole section right there, how far you want to hike out for the day, you're going to find areas that get on the river and have some of the most scenic areas in a canyon by yourself in Yosemite National Park that you can imagine. Now, there might be somebody who walks by. That's not a crowd. That's you and the meadow and the river. You can fish. You can sit by the meadow. You can have a picnic. There's so many things you can do in Lyle Canyon. It's highly underrated for not only for crowds, but just for scenic beauty of Yosemite National Park. So that is a short list of what I would say are some of my favorite escape the crowd places on a free day in Yosemite National Park. Again, now the Tuolumne Meadows ones you can only do in summertime up to fall. I've been there in November for the Veterans Day, November 11th. But sometimes the park's closed by then too. So you have to get, in fact, I'll throw this out, a little bonus here. Veterans Day, if it is open, definitely head Tuolumne Meadows. Yeah, just whatever you do, just go to Tuolumne Meadows. 1, there's probably a little snow up there, so it's a whole different look, right? 2, there is nobody up there. Parking's piece of cake. You got meadows to yourself. The rivers are lower, so if you're going for water, I understand why that isn't quite there. But all the peaks, all the trails. I did Sunrise Lakes 1 year with my son on Veterans Day. We dealt with a little bit of ice on the trail, so we had a little careful. But we saw one person the entire day, and that trail, if you know that trail, that's the trail the Clouds Rest, is usually littered with people, right? So. Those are just some tips that I have after 10 years ago in Yosemite over and over and over again. Again, I don't have too much for in the valley besides stay along the Merced River. There's stretches in there you won't see anybody, especially if you start at the far east edge of it and follow the trail in along the river. You'll see sections where you don't have anybody. If you get out in the meadow for closer to Bridalveil Falls and follow it down, again, not going to see very many people. So you want to stay either on the outside edge or in that center meadow the best you can. Again, you're going to see so many wonderful things. But any of the trails out of the valley are probably going to be pretty populated. Not Yosemite Falls populated or Nevada Falls populated, but you know what I mean. If you just looking for that have to do thing and it's going to be a crowd, Vernal Falls and Nevada Falls, always worth it. I skip Yosemite Falls a lot. That crowd there bugs me a little bit, I'll be honest with you. But there is a view spot away from the falls that's better. You have to take the alternative route in, not the main path. There's a hidden little picture spot back there that's not near as crowded, so I enjoy the falls from there. Some of the things I probably should have names for. I apologize on the maps, and you can crucify me in the comments if that's what you need. But I honestly, I share this stuff on my website all the time, but there's a lot of stuff you can just map out. Hopefully my tips get you there. There is a grove of trees. I should talk about groves of trees. That's always if the grove in Wawona is got too many people for you, there are 2 groves on the north side that you should consider. Right off of 120. I'm going to forget the names of the groves. I apologize. So there's 2 groves. Look to the west side. The one grove that's right inside the gates, basically on the north side coming in from Groveland. I don't think I've ever been there and not had more than 3 cars in the parking lot, ever. Now, I've always done it in the evening. I've never done it in the morning. So it's always later in the day when I hike out there. But well worth it if you want to see big trees. And to be honest with you, I've never done the other one that's on 120 out by White Wolf area. I've never done that grove, so I know that grove's out there too. But again, probably one of those areas that doesn't have that many people in the crowd. And again, these are things I would do on a free day in Yosemite. I always come in on Tioga Pass usually. I usually don't go into the January day. It's a long drive for me, so I'm usually coming over Tioga Pass and staying up on the Tuolumne area. But again, if I was going to come in the earlier year ones, I would hit Hetch Hetchy first. Or if I was coming from the south side, I'd stay in Wawona most of the day, maybe come down to Tunnel View and take a picture, come down to Bridalveil Falls, and then back out to the central. Who knows? Those are kind of ideas that I would have for you. And I know there's lots of other things you can do in Yosemite. There's people who do rock climbing, and they have these little secret coves with bathtubs and Unfortunately, I don't know where they're at for you. And I'm not sure I tell you where they're at because they're off trail and look a little precarious. So those are not for the everyday hiker in Yosemite National Park, if you know what I mean. So anyways, I hope this guide helps. Do me a favor. These are new things. I'm trying them out. I'm just trying to create content, new ideas. I go to Yosemite all the time. I can share all kinds of knowledge on Yosemite. But if you like this type of guide and this is helpful for you to listen to or whatever, leave me a comment down below. Please give me some feedback. What's your favorite place to go to Yosemite? Maybe you have a secret spot that no one's ever at that you want to share. I can share a couple backpacking spots and hiking locations that I love to go that I literally have been there all day and never seen a soul. But they're a little bit more strenuous, and I didn't share those on this channel today. So maybe another video and another time. So have a wonderful day wherever you're at. I hope to see you in your future. We have our next magazine coming out in January. We do have 6 issues a year. They are free. You can get them online. We do have a subscription level package on the line if you want to support us as well. And then we have this podcast that runs weekly on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you do your podcast, you can find us. And we're continuing to do our best to support the Sierra and help people spread out, discover more. Catch me later as I do some of these for Desolation Wilderness. I'll talk about Hoover Wilderness and Lake Tahoe later this year, and I have some things coming up for Plumas County as well in Northern Sierra. We'll be talking to Mammoth here, I think, later on this week. And then I'll be looking at Sequoia and the Southern Sierra a little bit later this summer. Have a wonderful day wherever you're at. May you be blessed and the Sierra in your future. Have a great day.